Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to the second installment in the DIY filter comparison. Before we get started on this week's video, I wanted to show you this. These are the 4 tanks that are the second row in the recycled rack, and it's time for me to get those all set up. Now this does segue into today's video a little bit, and that is I need to make 4 filters for it. But if you remember, for a little while ago I had put together a video, and it was me mass producing 4 filters that I needed, and I think they're for, well, the top rack and a couple clients. And anyway, it was just me showing you how you can quickly make a bunch of filters. Well, during that build I had actually made a mistake, and I had cut and drilled what is now currently the 8 sides of these 4 filters. And they were the wrong size. They were originally intended as the insides to the box filters I built in that video, but they wouldn't fit. So I didn't want to waste them, obviously. So what I'm going to do is use them for the 4 new filters I need for this rack. Now, a lot of people have asked me for blueprints and sizes and all that sort of stuff, and this is just my way of showing you that it really doesn't matter. You can make them pretty much any size you like, as long as they have reasonable room inside. And that's about it. I mean, these were originally intended as insides. They're now going to be outsides. The filter capacity is going to be, what, 1/4 of an inch difference between the original build and these. And I don't think it's going to make any difference. Long term, we'll see if it does, but it's not a big deal. And all that matters is that all the pieces, like these 5 pieces on this box, have to obviously fit together, and that's really easy to do because the bottom is the full footprint of it. The 2 sides are the full length of the bottom, and then all you do is you cut the 2 ends, the ones on my left and right hand right now, 2 full widths smaller than the rest of it, and there you go. You glue it all together and you have a box. And the other reason I wanted to show you this is I've changed a couple of simple things. One is I finally managed to buy myself, or decided to buy myself, a drill bit that is 1/16 of an inch bigger than the 1 inch, so I don't have to turn down all the standpipes anymore. It just fits right over it. So far it's working fine. We'll see how it goes. It's definitely not the same kind of quality of the old ones I have, but the other thing I want to show you is I've templated these. I made little jigs for all of them so that I don't have to measure anymore. Just put them on and glue it. It's much faster. And that's, again, just a simple way of making building filters a little simpler. And I'm just going to stick this together. Show you one of them anyway. I'm not going to stick them all together. And then we'll get to the comparisons for the filters. Unfortunately, my poor rolling drum filter from last week, I mean, I think I got a half, and I'm pretty sure that was just a pity vote. Well, that's okay. I mean, the whole point of this is to find a good filter, not one that has anything else about it other than the fact it's a good filter. So we're going to get to that. I'm going to pop up in a few seconds here its scores, just so I can remind myself what they are. And I mean, it's still doing really well, obviously. And then the winner from last week is the reverse flow hob filter. It's a planter as well, and I popped up its scores. So here you go. Now I asked you guys to give me suggestions for what to do as the comparison for next. Not too many of those, so I took one of them, and that is this. This is the 5-stage airlift that goes to the tray filter system. Now, I meant before I did this video to look up when I made this, and off the top of my head I can't remember. I know it's been a number of months, but I can't give you an exact number. The reason why I'm mentioning that is I have not touched it since then. It's been running, it's been running perfectly fine ever since I plugged it in. And there's one thing you'll notice as we go up to here, the tray, I mean, I haven't cleaned this either. It's growing a nice layer of moss, which is kind of nice. And I've noticed that the flow through it is not, you can notice it's mostly on the right hand side and the left hand side is not getting anything. Not really a big deal, but I also wanted to show you how these things are easy to clean. So tray filters are amazingly easy to clean. I'm just going to pull this mat out, put a fresh one in, and slide it back into its slot. So, I mean, I actually like the look of that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing for an aquarium, especially in that one, which has 2 other filters on it. But I just wanted to show you that so that we can get into rating this filter. First up, as before, is its biological filtration capacity. And it does have a nice tray of gravel that you can see there, so it does have good biological filtration. And the other thing you'll notice as we pan around this is it does have pothos growing in, I think, 3 or 4 of those chambers. So it does have a good filter capacity. I have to rate this, and of course it has to be rated based on what I've given it as before. It does not have anywhere near the biofiltration capacity of the rolling drum filter, or the hob for that matter. So I gave the rolling drum filter an 8 for that, and the hob a 7. There is nothing wrong with this, so I'd probably end up having to rank it at probably about a 6, just to be conservative with it. Next up is its mechanical filtration capacity, and this pretty much it is identical with the rolling drum filter. It has the same tray, it has the same access to flow, and I would probably give it exactly the same number, which is a 6. It's way better than, obviously, the reverse flow hob, which I gave a 4 for. But like I said, this is actually the tray system part of this, which is unfortunately being fed by the 5-stage airlift, is actually a really good style of filter. So mechanically, I could obviously upgrade this easily by adding another tray, but it's really not necessary. I actually am not a big fan of mechanical filtration in the fish room. As long as your water's clear, it doesn't really make any difference. It's just going to pull out the odd bit of stuff, and then you change it and rinse it or whatever. I'm more into the biological filtration aspect of these things. Next up is cleaning, and I also include, of course, wear and tear and need to replace parts that move around, that sort of stuff. And as you saw in the earlier clip, this is extremely easy to clean. It took 2 seconds, and if I didn't even bother with the bucket because I wanted to show it to you, I would just pull the pad out, put a new pad in, and it's done. It takes a few seconds, and the front that you see here comes out really easily. As far as long-term cleaning goes, if I want to, at some point I will have to run a brush through these pipes just to get any extra material that's going to build up out of it. But that's long-term, and as far as those individual hoses and the pipes that feed the air, they haven't plugged up at all yet. I've left them as very coarse bubbles, but they're actually really easy to clean too. So as far as cleaning goes, I would have to give this exactly about the same score as for the hob, because those are all long-term crazy stuff that you don't have to really worry about normally. So I'm going to give this 8 as well. I mean, obviously the rolling drum filter has wear and tear issues and other stuff, so I gave that a lower number. But I don't think there's going to be any wear and tear on this, so I think it's going to actually hold up really quite well. Lastly is commercial viability. And as far as this goes, it's probably as bad off as the rolling drum filter, and that is, it doesn't really have any. It's a lovely filter. I mean, someone might like all the bubbles and whatnot, but I couldn't put this in an aquarium for a client. It is cumbersome. It's an air hog, and not everyone's going to like the algae growing on the inside of it. It obviously filters well, and unfortunately, because this is air driven, I mean, to actually tell you the truth, the rolling drum filter has an advantage over it, because I can raise all that up so it's just above an aquarium, whereas in this particular case, this actually does have to sit in the tank. So you actually have to look at it. I mean, you have to see all those bits and pieces. I mean, you can find some way of hiding it and sticking it, I don't know, in a big tank maybe, I don't know. Let's just say, all right, I'm stretching here. This is probably the least commercially viable filter of the ones we've done so far, and because I gave the rolling drum filter a 3, I guess I'm going to have to go lower than that, because the other one actually could possibly be used in certain special circumstances. But this is definitely only if someone wants to have this sort of better mousetrap kind of looking and feeling sort of thing in their aquarium. So I'm not going to give it a 0 because that's just mean. I'm going to give it a 1 because I suspect this is going to be, of all the filters I've built, probably the least commercially viable. So there you have it. The final score for this filter is a 21, which is even lower than the rolling drum filter. But I don't get to choose which one wins. You guys do, so you can leave your comments below, please, and let me know which of the two you think is better. And that is either the reverse flow hob with the planter aspect to it, or this, the 5-stage airlift with also a planter aspect, and of course the tray system. So let me know what you think, and we'll move on to another filter comparison. I think we're probably out of the well, I don't want to call them gimmicky, but let's just say they're not exactly what I would use commercially anyway. But we're going to start getting into those, and we'll see how the winner of this week's compares to those. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. And I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.